Hi, my name's Nick Burnham and I'm here for Motorboating and Yachting this month aboard something of a dream boat, because we all harbour the dream that one day we're going to sell up, give up work and head over the horizon. Well, the owners of this boat did exactly that. This is an Aquanaut Drifter 1500 and the owners of this bought it, had it built to their specific requirements and then headed off for 10 years in the inland waterways of Europe. Now there's a lot of customization available with this boat. In fact, it's pretty much a bespoke build, and it starts with the engines. You can have single or twin, and the owners of this opted for twin because they wanted cross-channel ability. It's got a pair of Perkins 135 horsepower engines, and the interesting thing with these is firstly they're naturally aspirated, so they're very good for low speed work, but secondly you can run on a single engine, so when they're in the canals they can switch one engine off and just run on one. When they're going across channel they can of course engage two, and that gives the boat a speed of about 9 knots flat out, but cruising more comfortably really at around 6 or 7 knots, or of course even slower when they're in the canals. Now inside this boat it is typical Dutch steel after cabin cruiser. There's acres of space, a really wide beam, and all the areas are really generous. So you've got a V-berth up in the forward cabin, and you've got the owner's cabin back aft. That of course is full beam, and what's nice is there's a separate toilet and shower in there. In the centre of the boat, in order to make it a little more homely, they've lost the lower helm position and instead they've put the dinette up here, and what that's done is it's freed up space on the lower deck. So the galley is absolutely massive. In fact, there's a 7-foot run of worktop in there, and where the dinette was there's now a utility area with a full-size fridge freezer. And that domesticity and attention to detail goes really deep with this boat. So for example, the woodwork is normally teak or cherry. They've gone for a much lighter colour to brighten this interior up. The windows are double glazed, the hull is insulated, and there's even a proper boiler fired hot water central heating system like you'd have in a home. Even tiny details like, for example, the passageway as you go back down to the aft cabin, they had that widened slightly to create room for some hanging space for coats. And even things like the fuel tanks, because the owner wanted to service the engine himself, they've actually had the fuel tanks made very slightly narrower, so it's easier to get down the outboard sides of the engine. There's a massive amount of detail that's gone into this boat, and it's created something that's really allowed the owners to live their dream. They spent 10 years on this boat. They covered 50,000 kilometres, and they've been through the canal system in France, in Germany, Belgium, Holland, and pretty much every winter they've headed it down to the south of France and lived down there. They literally have lived 12 months round, 10 years on this boat.